Bye.
Good afternoon. Welcome sa press briefing ni Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Rocky.
Yes. First question will come from... yes, sir.
What I'd like to do first is just go ahead and give a short summary of the meeting, and then we can entertain 2 or 3 questions
Okay, sir.
at most. Okay? This afternoon, Secretary of State John Kerry met with President Rodrigo Duterte over lunch, and they covered a few points, and I'd like to give you a brief summary of the points that were covered. First, it was a courtesy call. It was a very interesting lunch because they shared common interests. They talked about motorcycles and hunting, and Mr. Kerry talked about how he had a motorcycle and he had a funny incident regarding that. Second, they also affirmed the long-standing relationships, the relationship between the 2 countries, and stated in particular that there are 4 million Filipinos in the U.S., while there are at least 500,000 Americans in the Philippines. Next, they also discussed common concerns: terrorism, crime, drugs, religious fanaticism, and maritime security. In relation to this, they also mentioned a menu of solutions. Next, the U.S. committed $32 million in training and services. Next, they also touched on the EDCA, and it was affirmed that whatever works for the Philippines will be what will work. Next, they also touched on climate change, and Mr. Kerry was helpful in defining certain issues about the Paris Pact, and the President also responded appropriately when he said that the Philippines will work out just as long as everything is fair. Lastly, they also talked about John Kerry's involvement in the 1986 snap elections and the events that led up to it and afterwards. He mentioned how invested he was in the democratic practices in the Philippines. That about sums it up. All right, thank you. We'll now entertain questions.
Yes, first question will come from Weng de la Puente of Net25.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Microphone, please. Yes. Microphone, can you pass the
Hello. Yes. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, you mentioned about the $32 million dollars promised by the United States. May we know what will be the focus of this?
Basically, it'll come in the form of trainings and stuff. Trainings.
Training for what?
Law enforcement.
Sir, what was discussed about the maritime dispute? Did the President mention to Secretary Kerry the position of the Philippines, and what was agreed, if there are things...
There were no agreements regarding that, except that the President did mention that whatever talks we will engage in will begin with a ruling. That will be the foundation, the ruling regarding the area.
Thank you, Weng. Joseph Morong, GMA7.
Sir, as things stand now, China's been saying that no, before we talk to the Philippines, you have to abandon the ruling. But we have said that we are insisting on we are following the rule of law and the UNCLOS. This sounds like a stalemate. How are we going to move forward with this kind of position?
It's not a stalemate. Conversation will continue to proceed.
Was there an offer for the President to go to the United States for a state visit?
There was no such thing discussed.
Okay, Ted Vera, Manila Tribune.
Sir, was it discussed with Secretary Kerry on how to implement, how to use the EDCA to implement the PCA ruling?
There was no discussion regarding that. Those things are not, they're not related, as Mr. Yasai mentioned earlier. The two are not related. Okay.
Sir, follow up. Is there an assurance na hindi po makakabalik yung mga US bases as agreed in 1991, sir?
There was nothing mentioned regarding the matter. Thank you.
So, pwede kayo mag-accept na isa pang question?
See, one more question. Yeah, we have to go to another meeting.
Yes, Marisa Lalili.
Hi, sir. Good
Yes.
afternoon. Sir, on other issue about the National Security Council meeting this afternoon, what will be the agenda of the meeting? What are the topics to be discussed?
Basically, I think that first there will be a review of what is review, and then a summation. The agenda is not that clear.
But are you going to talk about the West Philippine Sea or the anti-drugs campaign? And did the former president confirm their attendance?
I believe I believe they will be in attendance.
All of them, sir.
I believe all who can will be there.
And what do we expect to hear from them, sir?
Support
Support
for Philippine efforts. I mean, at the end of the day, they're all presidents of the Philippines, but it will be a cooperative venture.
I'm sorry, Secretary, may dalawang question sa gusto humabol.
Sige po, basta
Pwede
related
ba?
lang sa ano, related sa Telugu.
ka.
Yes, sir. Sir, good afternoon. Sir, can you describe how was the dialogue when the meeting, the feel? Because considering that during the previous and almost all the statements of the president, he's not a fan of US. So, was there a positive exchanges?
I think we need to qualify what you're saying, that he was not a fan. He in fact he abides by the law, and he does appreciate. We do appreciate the support that the U.S. has given us. It's just that there were certain incidents in our past, in our historical past, that he was pointing out. You know, we need to, for example, historically, he did mention it again about in 1521, how the relationship, how America, you know, and the other foreign colonial powers actually inflicted a lot of, historical pain upon especially the residents of Mindanao.
Thank you, Bombo. Laila Salaveria. Hopefully, last question na to, sir.
Sir, at the DFA, Secretary Kerry spoke of the need to protect human rights. What did he say to President Duterte about it? And did he express alarm about the spate of extrajudicial killings in the country?
There was no alarm that was mentioned there. Although what the President Duterte did mention about the way he has been handling the war against crime, and especially the narcotic plague.
How about the Secretary of State? What did he say about it?
He was listening very
Sir,
intently.
pwede pa daw kayo mag-entertain. Ito na talaga yung last question. Joseph Morrow.
Sir, si Secretary Kerry has been very vocal and medyo repetitive in saying that we hope to see a process, I'm quoting, we hope to see a process that will narrow the geographic scope of the maritime disputes and set standards for behavior for contested areas. How are we interpreting this vis-a-vis China's insistence on its 9-dash line and control of some areas like Scarborough?
Basically, I'd like to take a cue from what he said earlier during the DFA. He said, let us not focus on confrontation, but let us focus on solution.
Okay,
And I think that was very apt.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps. Back to our main studio sa Radyo ng Bayan at PTV4.
Sir, after NSC, meron pa? Meron pa briefing ulit?
Bukas na lang.
Maraming salamat.
Happy birthday.